cancel culture? Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Is it even a thing at all? It feels like at the moment everybody's talking out about cancel culture, either for it or against it. Whether you're Ricky Gervais having issues with it, or whether you're really pro it. Cancel culture is a huge thing, but is cancel culture a good thing to be encouraged, or a thing that itself needs to be cancelled? Cancel culture came from the strangest of places, actually a misogynistic quote in a film, but what happened is it got picked up on and is used now often as a way of expressing indignation at something that's deemed wrong or unacceptable.
Cancel culture is a form of boycott or public shaming of a person who has shared a questionable or unpopular opinion, or in more serious cases, someone whose behavior in their past is not only offensive, but unethical, illegal, and wrong.
And on the one hand, cancel culture has done a great thing. It gives people a voice. People who perhaps wouldn't be able to speak up are able to speak up, to bring some justice to people who seem like they're above the law. The whole Me Too movement came out of this kind of cancel culture. And yet, on the other hand, the problem has come that it acts as a judge, jury and executioner, a form of policing what can be said, and perhaps even, in its worst case, a way of bullying.
But I do get a sense sometimes now among certain young people, and this is accelerated by social media, there is this sense sometimes of the way of me making change is to be as judgmental as possible about other people. And that's enough. Like if I tweet or hashtag about how you didn't do something right or used the wrong verb, or then I can sit back and feel pretty good about myself.
So how do we hold those two things together? Wanting justice for those who are oppressed, and yet also wanting protection for those who perhaps said something weeks, months, years ago, and protect those who themselves could become vulnerable. Well, in the scriptures, we see that both of those things are at the heart of what God is like. In Isaiah 1, Isaiah, prophet from the Old Testament, he says this, speaking to his people, he says, "Learn to do right, seek justice, defend the oppressed, take up the cause of the fatherless, plead the cause of the widow." In other words, you see those who are oppressed, you see those who don't seem to have a voice in society, who people say shouldn't have a voice. Actually, they should. They matter massively. I've got a heart for them. And yet at the same time, God speaks to his people, and in the very next verse he says, "Come now, let us settle the matter. Though your sins are like scarlet, they shall be white as snow." God's response isn't to say, right, well, cancelled. You haven't done that, cancelled. He says, do this. This is what is right. But when you don't do this, though you are stained in kind of scarlet, bright redness of sin, yet I will make you as white as wool. You see, what God does is he looks and he sees our track record. He sees more than just the sum of the quotes that we put online. He sees us, warts and all those opinions, all those things that are hurtful and wrong, all those times when we've said or thought or done stuff that has hurt other people and rightly offended them. He sees them all, and yet what he does is he doesn't cancel us. No, he says, I'm going to make you white as wool, pure, unblemished. And yet there's more than that. Being pure and unblemished doesn't mean that we don't still make mistakes. And yet the amazing thing is we've got a God who never engages in cancel culture. He says this in his word, "Can a mother forget the baby at her breast and have no compassion for the child she's born? Though she may forget, I will not forget you, says God. See, I've engraved you on the palms of my hands." And that's this promise of saying, look, even if a mother could forget their child, I'm not going to forget you. I'm not going to cancel you, says God to his people. In fact, here he promises, this is in the Old Testament looking forward, he says, "I've engraved your names on my hands." And as Christians, as we look at that, what we see is, what does Jesus have engraved on his hands? Well, he bears the scars of what I've said and thought and done. The things that I should be cancelled for have been laid on him. In God, I've got one who I can be completely honest and open with. One who I know cares about the injustices that I have. One who fights for me, and yet one who can forgive me. One who will never ever cast me out. Where there is no cancel culture. In a world where stuff that I've said online, I'm sure, could be dug through and stuff could be found against me and against everybody else, because none of us are perfect, that gives me real reassurance. If that's something you'd like to find out about, please do check out the other videos on the stream. But for now, thank you so much for listening. Thanks.